Hello, it's Ruby and it's a beautifully rainy final day of August. I can't believe it's September tomorrow, and honestly I just can't wait for it to be autumn, even though it's felt like autumn for the whole of this summer because we've just had such a rainy summer here in the UK. But today I'm going to be doing a Q&A because I haven't done one of these for quite a while. Has it been that long? I think it was Christmas last time I did one, but I've been getting some people asking for me to do another one, and I'm going back to university soon, so it seemed like a good time to do it. So I asked on Instagram and on YouTube, and I've got 20 questions which I'm going to answer. And start with a big one, which actually a few people asked, which is, why did I decide to go for Oxford and not Cambridge? And it's a really simple answer actually, because I preferred the course at Oxford to the one at Cambridge. The Oxford course could not have been more perfect. I was looking through the listings of what we cover in the Masters and what we learn about, and they've got the centre of the book at Oxford where you study book creation and bibliography, and that is what I love, like kind of studying the materiality of texts. There's a whole compulsory module on it, and basically the course had everything in it that I was personally looking for. So that's why I chose Oxford, because the course was so perfect. I did look at Cambridge and see what the course was like, but it didn't really suit my interests, and so I didn't apply. Second question is, also if you're wondering, the tea I've got is the Earl Grey one from Tetley with some coconut milk, and it's in this really nice Emma Bridgewater Bonfire Night mug, which felt very appropriate for autumn. Next question, where did I apply for my MA? I did a lot of research into MA courses, but I actually only ended up applying for Oxford, which given the outcome was a good decision, but it was also extremely reckless, and I put all of my eggs in one basket, and if I got rejected from Oxford I wouldn't be going back into education this year. But as I say, the course was just so perfect, and a master's is a big commitment, so I didn't want to settle on the course that I was doing. I only applied for the one, which is very reckless. I don't know if I'd recommend that. What made you want to go back into academia? I always had planned on going back into academia. My plan had been to take a year out and then ideally go back into education, but as I say, that very well might not have happened because I love learning, and genuinely I have missed it so much this year, and I have been looking forward to going back. Though I'm also really glad that I took this year out, and I wouldn't have done it any other way, and I'm glad that I didn't go straight from undergrad to graduate studies, because having that time out has been so I'm gonna say kind of very dramatically so transformative, and I feel like I've grown so much as a person just in the space of a single year. And I also have got broad general questions about my gap year, and so I thought we can chat about it now. It seems like a good time. I'm so glad that I took it. I also do acknowledge that it's a massive privilege to be able to take a year out and to be able to kind of carve out a year where you're not strictly doing anything. I did work part-time and I was doing YouTube as well. I'm really fortunate and grateful that I have this platform because I do make money from YouTube, and I wouldn't have been able to take the year out if I didn't have this channel, so I'm very grateful that you're watching this now. But I'm so glad that I did it because I think I needed that space from formal education structures. It's given me so much perspective on the value of education, what I love about education and learning. Let me reflect on why I want to study, why I want to learn, what I want to learn about. Education is so fast paced. You go straight from, GCSEs, A-levels, university, then you have all of these assessments and deadlines, and it's really easy to get caught up in that and get stuck into the rhythms without really thinking about why you're doing it. At least that's what I found. And so it's really nice having that space outside of it and really reflecting on what education means for me and what I want to learn more about. Any regrets about your gap year? I don't think regret is a very useful thing, so I try not to feel regrets, even if there are things that I do regret. I try not to think of it as regret. Other things I regret, broadly speaking, no. There are little things that I wish I'd done or wish I hadn't done. I managed to travel, and I travelled alone for the first time as well. I also got really valuable work in a school which I loved, and I spent a lot of time learning about things that I never covered in school and university but that I'm really interested in. For example, botany and learning about nature and nature writing. That's something I really find fascinating and I love, but I just never learned about. So I'm really glad for that. One thing I do regret, and as I say, don't like to use the word regret, but I wish that I'd taken a whole month out just to read. Because it's always been on my bucket list of things to do. My plan had been, and I had this plan for ages, I wanted to take a year out and then rent out a cottage for a month with no Wi-Fi and just read for a month. Which is the most indulgent, beautiful thing I think you could possibly do for a month. But I'd always wanted to do it. As I say, regret isn't the right word, because the reason I wasn't able to do it is because I was working, and I really enjoyed working in the school, and I wouldn't have changed that. But it is something I wish that I had been able to do. Are you moving to Oxford for your MA? Yes, I am. Lots of people are asking this. I cannot wait to move to Oxford. Which college are you going to be at? I'm going to be at Jesus College, which again, I'm so excited about. It's absolutely beautiful. I'll just show some clips on the screen so you can see. It's an Elizabethan college. It was actually the only Oxford college to be founded by Queen Elizabeth. She actually opened it, Queen Elizabeth I, which is incredibly cool, especially because the course that I am on spans over the Elizabethan period. Are you worried about starting at university again? I'm mostly excited, but I am nervous because I know how intense it's going to be, and I am feeling imposter syndrome, and I am scared for it. But I'm also trying to tell myself that that's normal, and that lots of other people are feeling the same, and that the most important thing is to get as much from the experience and as much from the teaching as I possibly can. So I'm really trying to turn the nerves into excitement. I heard that they're the same thing, like it's the same biological response when you're nervous and when you're excited. Okay, next question, kind of different. How is your book going? So the other reason I took this year out was to focus on writing, and I've been doing a few different writing projects this year, including an undisclosed novel, which I haven't spoken about at all. I want to talk about it. This is the thing. As I'm writing, I want to start talking about it and tell you everything that's happening and tell you the genre and tell you the title and everything, but I've also been advised not to do that. So I'm at a crossroads now where I want to talk to you about this book, but I also don't know if I should. Hopefully though, I'll be able to talk to you about it soon. So this year I've worked on 3 different books. First one, at the beginning of my gap year, I was working on a YA book, which ended up being sent out to publishers, but I ended up withdrawing after a few rejections, and I'm really glad that I did that because I actually don't want to publish that book. I know it sounds silly, especially when I spent so long writing it and so long working on it, but it's not the kind of book that I want to write as an author, and so I decided to retract it, and I'm really glad that I did that. And so the second book I worked on this year was a middle grade book, which I finalised and have put to one side, but I really do hope to publish it eventually. This is me speaking very optimistically as well. And then the third book is the one that I've been working on since January, and I'm working closely with my agent on it at the moment. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be sent out to publishers at the end of this month, at the end of September, and I've just sent over the latest version this morning, like a couple of hours ago. But I'm starting to feel happy with it. I mean, there are always things that you can tinker with when you're working on anything creative, and it's never going to be perfect, and I found it so hard just to get over that perfectionism and send it, because there's always something else you can do. It's never going to look exactly how you want it to look, so it's not perfect, but it's in a place where I am sort of happy with it, and so I'm excited about it, and I really, really hope, my fingers are totally crossed, that I will be able to share it with you soon-ish. How was the process of applying to Oxford? Was it draining? Not as draining as when I applied for undergraduate, actually, because there was no interview for my for the master's programme. I know at Cambridge they interview, and I'm sure in other Oxford courses they interview, but there were no interviews for the course I applied for. So I had to do an essay. I had to submit an essay, write a personal statement, and in that I had to outline my interest in the field, why I wanted to study on that particular course, and a proposal, like a very loose proposal of what my dissertation and final project would be on. And then I also had to write an academic CV, which is like a professional CV, but you can only include academic experience. And then also 3 references, 2 of which had to be academic. So I had 3 of my university professors from Exeter very kindly wrote references for me. I mean, it was sort of draining, more because there was a lot of pressure put on it. Like, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to like do it right, but definitely not as draining as undergrad. How do you make your tea? Coming from somebody who wants to get more into tea. Well, I drink lots of different types of tea, and it depends on the type of tea as to how you're going to brew it. My Earl Grey though, I like to leave the tea bag in, which is maybe quite controversial, but I like Earl Grey very strong, but also milky, so I add about like this much coconut milk, or oat milk works really well too, and then no sugar, and it's really good. When do I start? Term starts in the first week of October. Question on YouTube: has your degree been helpful in your journey for improving your creative writing skills? If yes, in what ways? I would say so, yes. I mean, academic writing and creative writing are very, very different, but academic writing and honing academic writing skills has helped me to be more coherent in my creative writing, and both of them are writing, and I think writing practice, this is just the most important thing. The more that you write, the better you should get. And also just learning, like the more informed you are and the more practice you have at synthesizing things and linking things together, the better your creative writing, I think, will be. Okay, so I love this next question. Do you think that internet aesthetics do more harm than good? It's a really good one. I've got very mixed views on internet aesthetics. I'm also going to turn on the light because it's quite dark. So, I mean, essentially all an internet aesthetic is providing language so that we can talk about something. So dark academia as a term is used to denote this, and light academia is used to denote this, and cottagecore is used to denote this. It's providing language which then lets us talk about these things, which is good. Language is useful. We love language because it helps us to communicate and helps us to articulate and helps us to understand things as well. However, language is constructed by humans, and so it's intrinsically fallible, and it also is constraining. So I think of internet aesthetics like genre with books. A genre is useful. It's useful to be able to say, you know, this is like horror or romance or fantasy. Having those words and having genres means that you can find books in a bookshop which you will probably like, and it means that you can recommend books and you can talk about books. But also, as soon as you say that something's a horror, you put it in a box and it becomes so much more simplified, when actually it could be a horror with elements of being a thriller and being fantasy and being romance. But because we use that word horror, all of those other components are lost and things become very like segmented. And internet aesthetics work in the same way. They're useful, I think, because they help us to understand our interests or like our certain looks. I love the academia aesthetics and cottagecore aesthetic because there are parts of, sounds really silly, because there are parts of the aesthetics that maybe I relate with and parts that I relate with, and so I enjoy consuming that content, and I enjoy participating in those language games, Wittgenstein would say. Oh, we're turning this into proper like language philosophy. However, what I don't like, and what I think maybe we have to be tentative about, is putting yourself in one of those boxes of like dark academia, light academia, cottagecore. I mean, I'd say I'm probably most similar to light academia as an aesthetic, but that's not to say that that's all of me. Yeah, I like internet aesthetics, but also I think we need to be careful about not putting ourselves in boxes and allowing us to stray from the aesthetics. It should be about what we like and then finding aesthetics which kind of fit with that, as opposed to finding an aesthetic and then trying to fit the aesthetic, I think. But also I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, because my thoughts on this are constantly changing and I'm always interested to change my perspective. What autumnal things are you planning on doing during your first autumn in Oxford? Of course, I'm going to have to seek out the parks and green spaces and see how they're changing in autumn. I always love looking at the leaves and trees changing in autumn. I also just really want to go to all of the libraries. Not all of them, maybe I won't get through all of them, but I want to go to as many libraries as I can and just seek those out. And there's something about studying in a library with a flask of tea, maybe, if they allow you to bring tea in libraries. Not all libraries allow tea, but some of the libraries. And just sitting there studying. That's what I'm most excited about, honestly. What is the oldest book that you own? So looking on my bookshelf, this bookshelf here is for my old books and more special books. I think the oldest book in my collection is actually this, which is beautiful. This is from 1861, and my best friend Blakeney got this for me for Christmas. It's The Child's Companion and Juvenile Instructor. It's an educational book for Victorian children. Both of us are really interested in Victorian education and constructions of childhood. It's kind of filled with moral lessons, but also lessons in like natural sciences and religion. Could you go into more detail about how you learn Latin? So, I've got to admit, I've completely been neglecting Latin over the last few months. I started off so strong at the beginning of this year. I was using a workbook, this one. I was so consistent, I was doing it every day, but I just kind of fell out of the habit, and I'm really sad about that, but I really hope to pick it back up. But in terms of how I was studying it, this workbook, and then I used flashcards and Quizlet to learn vocab and grammar. I did lots of grammar exercises to practice my use of cases, and the big thing and the most valuable thing was just doing translations. Take really basic short passages of Latin and then try and translate them into English, and that was definitely the best thing that I did. And then final question, just because it's quite related to the fact that I'm filming this for YouTube, will you be vlogging Oxford? And yes, I will. However, my upload schedule will change. At the moment I'm uploading twice a week, and feasibly, however much I love the idea of uploading twice a week, I just don't think that I'll be able to do it because the times are going to be intense. So my plan is that I'll upload a video every Saturday. It feels right to do because I've brought you along with me on my whole educational journey, so it would feel wrong to stop doing them now. And please do bear with me as well. I'm hoping to upload every Saturday, but if I miss a week, I'm sorry in advance. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna say goodbye because it's actually starting to get a bit dark and I still somehow got half a mug of tea. I also need to go and cook dinner because I'm in charge of cooking dinner in my family. Tonight I'm going to make a Sri Lankan curry with a green tea and coconut rice. See, the great thing about cooking every night is that I get to choose what we have. Like, no one else in my family would think to make green tea rice, but green tea rice, like tea and rice mixed together, I mean, it sounds amazing. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have more than just a productive week. This is just a quick reminder that the academic planner is now live. I really have tried to design the perfect planner for students with everything that I've ever wanted in a planner, and I am genuinely so excited to share it with you. It is available on my website, Pumpkin Productivity, and we do ship worldwide. There'll be a link down below in the description box. Just as always, thank you so much for all of your support and for giving me the opportunity to design and share this planner with you. I think I'll start dinner in about 10 minutes. I'm gonna get back to reading. I'm reading Alcazar at the moment, which is one of the set books for my A course. This is an early modern play by Peele. Anyway, thank you again, and I will see you on Wednesday.